A quiet night before the Great Fire of London. The night settles gently over London. It is the year 1666. Late summer. The air is warm but not heavy. Most of the city is already asleep. Wooden houses stand close together, their dark shapes leaning toward narrow streets. Nothing moves quickly. This night feels ordinary, too ordinary to be remembered. A soft breeze drifts in from the river. It carries the familiar smell of water, wood, and distant smoke from hearths still warm from dinner. London does not know what tomorrow will bring. No one does. Candles burn low behind small windows. Their light flickers gently, never bright enough to disturb the night. Families sleep above their shops. Merchants, bakers, carpenters, ordinary people. The streets are quiet. No carts, no voices. Only the sound of the city resting. Somewhere nearby a church bell creaks slightly in the breeze. It does not ring, it only shifts. The wooden ground beneath everything feels solid, familiar, trusted. The River Thames moves slowly beside the city. Its surface reflects broken pieces of moonlight. The water does not hurry. A watchman walks his route. His steps are slow, measured, unconcerned. He has walked this path many times before. Tonight feels no different. The city breathes evenly, in and out. Inside a small house, someone turns in their sleep. The day releases its final hold. No alarms, no warnings, no urgency. This is a night like any other. A night before history changes. But history does not feel close yet. It feels far away. The candle flames grow smaller, one by one. The breeze passes again, then leaves. London remains still, unaware. Breathing slows, thoughts soften. The night continues doing what it always does. Nothing needs attention, nothing asks to be remembered. This night is calm, and calm nights feel safe. End of part 1. 96 devam edeceğim aynı sakinlikte. Aynı gerçek hikaye içinde. The night grows quieter still. Not because anything changes, but because awareness slowly fades. London rests more deeply now. The city has settled into a steady rhythm that does not need attention. Most windows are dark. Behind them, sleep comes easily. Wooden beams cool as the air grows gentler. They release soft, familiar sounds, creaks, settling, nothing unusual. These sounds have been heard for generations. They belong to the night. The watchman's lantern continues its slow movement. It sways gently, left, then right. The light does not search. It does not question. It simply moves where the watchman moves. His steps remain steady, unhurried. This route is familiar. Every corner, every stone. Tonight gives him no reason to be alert. Nothing feels wrong. The River Thames moves quietly beside the sleeping city. Its surface catches fragments of moonlight. The reflection breaks and reforms, again and again. Water does not remember yesterday. It does not imagine tomorrow. It flows. The breeze drifts through the narrow streets once more. It carries the scent of wood, stone, and distant water. The air feels warm, but calm. Somewhere inside a small house, a sleeper turns slightly, then becomes still again. Dreams shift. They do not linger. Time stretches further. Moments no longer feel separate. The city feels heavy with rest, as if it has sunk gently into the ground. Church towers stand silently above the rooftops. They do not mark time tonight. No bells ring, no warnings sound, only quiet remains. In a nearby bakery, embers remain buried beneath ash. They glow faintly, steady. They do not flare, they do not move. They have rested like this many nights before. No one watches them, no one worries. The night holds everything evenly. Nothing feels fragile, nothing feels urgent. The watchman pauses again. He listens. There is nothing to hear. Satisfied, he continues on. His lantern light fades around the next corner. Silence returns. Breathing slows further. In and out. The body feels heavy, supported. The mind loosens its grip. Thoughts grow incomplete. London remains unaware, unconcerned. History feels distant, unimportant. This is just another quiet night, one that feels safe, one that feels endless. The night continues, and rest deepens with it. The night feels wider now, as if it has gently expanded, making room for deeper rest. London remains still, not frozen, not silent, simply resting. Darkness fills every narrow street. It settles between wooden walls, beneath overhanging roofs, along the edges of sleeping doorways. The shapes of buildings soften. Corners lose their sharpness. Distance becomes less important. The river continues its slow movement. Water touches the banks, then pulls away, again and again. This sound no longer feels separate. It blends into the night itself. Breathing grows slower, more even, in and out. The body understands this hour. It has waited for it. Muscles remain loose. There is no tension left to release. The weight of the body feels settled, supported. Somewhere, far away, a sound rises briefly. Perhaps wood shifting, perhaps water touching stone. It fades before it can be named. The watchman is no longer nearby. His steps have disappeared into distance. The city does not notice his absence. It does not need to. Everything that needs watching is already asleep. Homes lean gently toward one another. Their wooden frames hold warmth inside. Families dream quietly. Dreams come and go without story. No one senses tomorrow. No one imagines change. Time stretches further. Moments no longer follow one another. They overlap. They blur. The night feels endless, but not empty, full of air, full of stillness. The embers beneath the ash remain quiet. They do not brighten. They do not fade. They simply exist. The breeze passes once more through the streets, soft, barely present. It touches fabric hanging near a window, then moves on. Nothing stirs, nothing reacts. Awareness drifts lower, not disappearing, just loosening. Thoughts, if they appear at all, fade before becoming clear. There is no need to follow them, no need to push them away. The night holds everything gently. Without effort, London remains unaware of its place in history. This night feels no different from any other night before it, and that is what makes it peaceful. Breathing remains slow, natural, in and out. The rhythm continues, steady, unbroken. The city sleeps on, and rest deepens quietly. The night now feels as though it has fully settled into its final shape, a shape that does not ask to be observed or understood, only quietly inhabited as London rests beneath the sky with no awareness of time, no concern for what has passed or what will come. The darkness stretches gently across the city, slipping into every narrow street and resting against the wooden walls of houses that lean close to one another, as if sharing warmth, as if supporting one another in sleep. There is no clear boundary between sound and silence anymore, because the few remaining sounds, water moving slowly along the riverbank, wood softly contracting as it cools, the distant breath of wind passing between buildings, have blended so completely into the night that they feel like part of its texture rather than interruptions within it. Breathing slows in the same way, not because it is guided or controlled, but because the body recognizes this hour instinctively, allowing each breath to deepen, to lengthen, to settle fully, before the next one begins, creating a steady rhythm that requires no attention at all. In homes throughout the city, bodies lie heavy and relaxed, limbs resting where they have fallen, faces smooth and still, minds drifting through faint impressions that never fully form into dreams, dissolving almost as soon as they appear. The river continues its endless movement beside the city, its surface catching fragments of moonlight that break apart and rejoin without pattern or urgency, the water itself unaware that it flows past a city that will soon be remembered for what has not yet happened. Time no longer feels like something that moves forward in steps or moments, but like something wide and open, a quiet space in which nothing needs to happen and nothing is expected to change. The watchman's route has carried him far from this place. Now his lantern light, long since swallowed by distance, leaving behind streets that feel even more deeply at rest, as though the last remaining trace of wakefulness has gently withdrawn. The air feels balanced and still, neither warm nor cool, resting against stone and wood in a way that feels complete, as if the night has found the exact condition it has been waiting for. Awareness continues to drift lower, loosening its hold on detail and definition, allowing edges to soften and distinctions to blur, until there is no clear separation between thought and silence, between body and space, between sound and stillness. The embers buried beneath ash in kitchens and bakeries remain quiet and unchanged, glowing faintly, but steadily doing nothing more than existing, as they have done on countless other nights without consequence or concern. Nothing in the city feels fragile in this moment. Nothing feels as though it might break or shift, because everything is held in the same gentle balance, supported by habit, by familiarity, by the simple fact that this night feels exactly like so many nights before it. Breathing continues, slow and even, each inhale arriving without effort, and each exhale releasing naturally, creating a rhythm that does not need to be followed or noticed in order to remain steady. The mind no longer reaches outward, no longer gathers thoughts or images, because there is nothing left to gather, nothing left to hold, and nothing left to prepare for. London remains asleep, unaware that this ordinary night will later be remembered and studied, unaware that its quiet streets and resting homes will soon belong to history rather than the present. For now, there is only this long, unbroken stretch of calm, this deep and steady stillness that feels endless, not because it extends infinitely, but because it has no edges. The night holds everything exactly as it is, without tightening, without releasing, without changing its tone, allowing rest to deepen naturally and completely. The night has reached a depth where it no longer feels like something that surrounds the city, but something that the city itself has become, as London rests so completely that even the idea of movement feels distant and unnecessary, as if the streets, the houses, and the air between them have all agreed to remain exactly as they are. Darkness no longer arrives or settles, because it is already everywhere, resting evenly across rooftops and narrow lanes, softening the outlines of chimneys and church towers, until they feel less like structures and more like quiet shapes held gently in place. The river moves on without effort, its slow and patient flow continuing alongside the sleeping city. The sound of water against the banks repeating so steadily that it no longer registers as a separate sound but as part of the silence itself. Breathing remains slow and natural, each breath unfolding fully before the next one begins, the body no longer aware of its own weight or position, only aware of rest, of support, of the absence of any need to respond or react. Inside the homes that line the streets, sleep has deepened into something heavy and still, where dreams, if they appear at all, drift by without shape or story, leaving behind only a sense of calm that does not require understanding. Time has lost its meaning here, no longer dividing itself into minutes or hours, but stretching into a wide and quiet presence where nothing advances and nothing retreats, where the night simply continues without direction. The air feels settled in its final state, resting against stone and wood without movement, without change, as if it has found the exact balance it was always meant to reach. Awareness continues to soften, no longer holding on to details or images, allowing thoughts to pass without forming and sensations to exist without being named, until there is no clear boundary between inner and outer, between mind and space. The city remains unaware of its future, unaware that this night will later be remembered as the last calm pause before change, because in this moment there is no sense of history, only the deep familiarity of another ordinary night. Nothing pulls attention upward, nothing signals transition, and nothing interrupts the steady stillness that holds everything in place. Breathing continues, even and unremarkable, carrying rest deeper with each quiet cycle, allowing the body and mind to sink further into a state where effort no longer exists. London remains held in this quiet balance, unchanged, untroubled, and completely at rest, as the night stretches on without end and without intention. The night continues without signaling anything new, without shifting its tone or light or air, remaining exactly as it has been for a long while now, as London lies suspended in a state so deeply settled that the idea of movement feels unnecessary and distant, as though the city itself has forgotten that change is even possible. Darkness rests everywhere at once, not pressing down or enclosing, but gently existing in every space between rooftops and streets, within rooms and along walls, until there is no clear distinction between where the city ends and where the night begins, because the two have blended completely into one quiet presence. The river flows beside the sleeping city, with the same patient motion it has always known its surface, catching and releasing fragments of moonlight that drift apart and rejoin without pattern. The water unaware that it passes a place that will later be remembered, because memory belongs only to the future, and this night exists entirely in the present. Breathing continues at its own pace, slow and even, each breath unfolding naturally and fully, without effort or intention, as the body rests so deeply that its shape and weight no longer demand attention, supported entirely by stillness. Time no longer behaves as something that moves forward, because forward has lost its meaning here, replaced by a wide and open sense of continuation, where nothing approaches and nothing recedes, where the night simply remains. Within the houses lining the narrow streets, sleep has settled into its deepest form, where the mind does not travel far enough to create dreams and does not remain awake enough to form thoughts, resting instead in a quiet space where awareness is barely present. The air feels perfectly balanced, neither warm nor cool, resting against wood and stone without movement, as though it has reached the condition it has been waiting for all night, allowing everything beneath it to remain undisturbed. There is no sound now that asks to be identified, because even the faint movement of water and the soft settling of structures have blended so completely into the silence that they feel like part of its texture rather than interruptions within it. Awareness drifts so low that it no longer feels like something separate, no longer observing or noticing, simply existing without definition, without edges, without direction. Nothing in the city feels fragile or uncertain in this moment, because everything is held in a familiar balance shaped by countless nights before this one, each ordinary and unremarkable, each passing quietly into the next. The embers resting beneath ash remain unchanged, glowing faintly and steadily, doing nothing more than existing, just as they have done on many other nights, without consequence or concern. London remains unaware of what will come, unaware that this calm night will later be seen as a pause before transformation, because the idea of transformation does not exist here, only the deep comfort of familiarity. Breathing continues, slow and steady, each cycle gently reinforcing the stillness that surrounds everything, allowing the body to sink further into rest without resistance. The mind no longer reaches outward or inward, no longer holding on to images or questions, because there is nothing left to grasp and nothing left to release. The night stretches on without end and without intention, not because it is infinite, but because it has no markers, no boundaries, no points of transition. There is no sense of waiting, no sense of arrival, only the continuation of this quiet state where nothing is required and nothing is expected. Darkness remains gentle and complete, holding the city and everything within it, without tightening or loosening its grip, allowing rest to deepen naturally and completely. The river continues its slow movement, the air remains still, the city remains asleep, and the night continues doing exactly what it is meant to do. Breathing continues, stillness continues, the night remains.